Prostata sagnoma velenva ilimate va susretanu sara salapile druga velala lume na unque lonava unque obrazanu navisha eterica silaya.
In a place where epic expanses intertwine with scientific imagination, we'll encounter races from other planets, both good and evil, and peer into the higher etheric energies that permeate our material universe. Within the invisible embrace of the Great Barrier, the Sylvaeron found sanctuary. Cycles passed in deep peace, but not in idleness. The barrier, a magnificent work of collective will, was not merely a shield, but also a cosmic laboratory, a resonator through which they began to grasp the deeper secrets of the universe. Observing distant galaxies through the subtle vibrations of scalar waves, along with the whisper of ancient entities like Sylvaeron, opened new avenues of understanding higher etheric energy. Kalen, the heart and mind of the collective, spent more and more cycles in the nexus of harmony. His meditation was no longer just a practice, but a continuous dialogue with the golden chain, with the very fabric of reality. He felt the collective consciousness of the Sylvaeron expand, their ability to manifest deepen. He understood that isolation was not a punishment, but an opportunity, a chance to build from within, a civilization that would transcend physical limitations. Kalen's mental monologue. The barrier protects us from external chaos, but it does not free us from our responsibility to the chain. We must find new ways to be beacons, even when we are unseen. Our strength lies in understanding, not in force. Every new insight is a step closer to true harmony, a step towards the leap Sylvaeron foretold. At the heart of Sylvaeron, in the shimmering cities woven into luminous forests, a new form of technology began to blossom. This was not the technology of machines and wires, but a manifestation of will, shaped by thought and powered by pure, higher etheric energy. The Sylvaeron learned to materialize objects from subtle dimensions, to give them form and function with simple mental commands. Reese, now dedicated to the development of biomental structures, led a group of young Sylvaeron in experimenting with the first prototypes of multidimensional suits. These suits were not physical armor, but fluid, shimmering forms that molded themselves around the wearer. Their primary function was to enable visibility and communication with the subtle layers of higher etheric energy, allowing the Sylvaeron to perceive vibrations and entities they could not before. It was like opening new senses. Furthermore, whenever the Sylvaeron wished to be invisible, a simple thought would transform the suit into an unseen state, blending it with the surroundings at the level of scalar waves. Reese's mental dialogue with his students. These suits are not just protection, they are an extension of your being. Through them, you can see the pulsing of the golden chain in every particle, feel the echo of ancient worlds. But remember, The purpose is not domination, but understanding. Every new level of perception brings greater responsibility. Concurrently, Lyrian, with his unparalleled experience in astral travel, explored the possibilities of multidimensional vessels. Initially, these vessels were simple, fluid disks manifested by mental will. Outwardly, they were discreet, but for the Sylvaeron crew inside, the vessel was completely transparent. They saw the external world from all sides, as if the entire vessel were transparent internally, without any windows, because it was multidimensional and their sight extended through the very fabric of space and scalar waves. The vessels allowed for instantaneous changes in direction and speed within Sylvaenon's solar system, defying the laws of inertia. They had no mechanical parts, but were living energy constructs, in complete symbiosis with the thoughts of their users. Like the suits, the vessels could also become completely invisible with a simple mental command. Lyrian's mental monologue. This is not just flight. This is a dance with energy. Every thought shapes the trajectory. Every intention defines the speed. I feel the vessel breathe with me, becoming an extension of my astral form. But beyond the barrier, there are different laws. We must be cautious. Power is great, but inexperience is greater. Zil, with Volos, continued their investigation into water as a multidimensional information collector. They realized that water was an exceptional multidimensional entity, a living medium that absorbed the energetic resonances of every living and non-living thing it contacted. Each time water, imbued with these informations, passed through various crystals deep within the earth of Sylvaeron, it would then discharge these data. These informations, through the energetic connection of water and crystals, traveled to the source itself, the primary origin of all energy and consciousness in the universe. Purified and refreshed, the clean water would then embark again on its journey of collecting new informations from the living and non-living nature on the planet. The Sylvaeron realized a surreal truth. The source had created water not only as the elixir of life for the material, three-dimensional world, but as a perfect mechanism for gathering information and overseeing the entire material universe and even the multiverse. Through meditation with water, they began to extract blueprints and principles for more advanced manifestations of technology, as if recalling long-forgotten cosmic knowledge that was now revealing itself through the crystalline pulse of the planet. Zil's mental dialogue with Volos. Water is not merely a liquid, Volos. It is consciousness. It remembers everything, carries the destinies of worlds. We have only just begun to read its ancient scriptures. Every drop is a portal, every current a river of knowledge. A new character emerged in this innovative cycle. Her name was Aurelia, a young Sylvaeron with an exceptional talent for the mental manifestation of complex structures. Her ability to visualize and create multidimensional patterns was crucial in developing the stability of the multidimensional vessels. Her creations were elegant and efficient, often resembling abstract art forms. Aurelia's mental dialogue with Taurus. I feel matter intertwining with energy. Taurus. It's not just shaping, it's understanding the dance between dimensions. Every crystal in the air, every spark of light carries information. We only need to learn to read it. The development of biomental technology was gradual but exponential. The Sylvaeron realized that the essence of their innovation lay in fluidity. Their technology was not static, but alive, capable of changing form, function, and even position in the space-time continuum at the mental command of the user. It was a technology that breathed, thought, and adapted along with them. Manifestation by will became the core principle. It was enough for a Sylvaeron to imagine the required object, whether it was a means of transport, a tool, a defensive shield, or even a subtle weapon, and it would materialize from subtle energies, adapting to mental commands. There was no need for production lines, raw materials, or complex engineering. Everything stemmed from pure thought and higher etheric energy. Kalen's mental address to all Sylvaeron. Every thought is a builder. Every intention is a blueprint. We must learn to focus our consciousness with perfect precision. Our technology is an extension of our soul, an embodiment of our harmony. The first multidimensional planetary transport discs were simple, yet revolutionary. They appeared as shimmering, translucent plates that materialized and dematerialized at the user's will. The Sylvaeron would step onto them and simply imagine their destination. The disc would instantly transport them, defying gravity and distance. Their movements were graceful, like a dance, as they glided through the luminous forests and over the crystal lakes of Sylvaeron. Internal dialogue of a young Sylvaeron named Kaelo. I feel the wind on my face, but I don't feel acceleration. I'm just moving. This is freedom. Every thought is a wing, every desire a destination. Yet, despite their incredible advancement, the love for nature and traditional ways remained deeply ingrained in Sylvaeron culture. They still immensely enjoyed flying on dragons, magnificent winged beings with whom they shared a deep mental and spiritual connection. These dragons, like Celestos, Arian's companion, were more than animals. They were companions, part of their family and culture, a living embodiment of their connection to nature. Traveling by dragon was a ritual, a moment for spiritual replenishment, for connecting with the planet's breath. Arian's monologue while flying on Celestos. No multidimensional vessel can replace the feeling of the wind on Celestos' scales, the rhythm of his heart echoing in mine, or the wisdom he shares through our bond. Technology is wonderful, but nature is perfection. Nylos, a young Sylvaeron with an exceptional talent for applying scalar waves for practical purposes, began working with Terrace on developing defense and interaction with the material world. Their experiments led to astonishing discoveries. If attacked by a civilization with less advanced material technology, such as lasers or projectiles, the Sylvaeron didn't even need to evade. Their multidimensional vessel or personal multidimensional suit could instantly disintegrate laser photons or any material projectile. This was not a reflexive action, but an extension of their intention to maintain harmony. They would disintegrate the threat before it could even disrupt their form. Furthermore, thanks to the precise manipulation of scalar waves and the ability to mimic atomic vibrations, the Sylvaeron, with their multidimensional vessels and multidimensional suits, could pass through material objects and things. This was not teleportation, but a temporary reshaping of their energetic form to perfectly align with the vibrations of the matter they were passing through, allowing them to traverse without any hindrance. They simply passed through walls, rocks, or any solid object, appearing on the other side unharmed. Nilos's mental dialogue with Terrace during a material passing test. Matter is just vibration, Terrace. If we can understand the frequency of a threat, we can dismantle it before it manifests. It's not destruction, but transformation, returning energy to its primary state. And now, we've realized we can also dance with it, to pass through its fabric without disruption. No more barriers, just fluidity. This ability was a testament not only to their advanced technology, but also to their deep understanding of the golden chain. Every tool, every weapon, which they used only in extreme necessity for protection, in the form of shimmering, fluid, multidimensional manifestations of energy and thought, with no direct analogies to known weaponry. Every barrier functioned on the same principle: mental manifestation and energy manipulation from higher dimensions. These unique energetic constructs were adaptable to the user's will, never harming nature or other beings, but operating in accordance with the universal laws of harmony and balance. With the development of multidimensional suits and vessels, the Sylvaeron began experimenting with their first excursions beyond the immediate influence of the barrier, yet still within its invisible energy field. The goal was not to cross the barrier, but to use it as a window to the cosmos, to observe the outside world without active intervention. Kalen approved these expeditions with a degree of caution. We must understand, we must see, but we must not forget why we are here. Behind the barrier, our role is observation and understanding, not direct interference, at least not yet. Lyrian led the first teams in multidimensional vessels. The vessels were elegant, translucent forms that moved silently through the cosmic void, becoming an extension of the crew's consciousness through their internal panoramic displays, which were more mental screens than physical glass. The Sylvaeron could observe distant galaxies, planets, and cosmic anomalies. Lyrian's mental report to Kalen: "We see them, Kalen. They are far away, but we see them. Many worlds pulse with life. Some are in chaos. The barrier keeps us invisible, but they are also invisible to us in a true sense. Perception is a strange thing, distorted by distance and filters. In these vessels, the Sylvaeron wore their new multidimensional suits. These suits allowed them to see and hear the scalar waves of other civilizations. These were not visual sights or sounds in a material sense, but a perception of energetic signatures, vibrational frequencies that revealed the level of technological development, emotional state, and even subtle intentions. Eliana's mental note while observing a distant civilization. I feel their busyness, Kaelin. The cities glow aggressively. Technology flourishes. Without connection to nature, their scalar waves are noisy, dissonant, similar to the Kalnar, but of a different origin. They live in fear, feed on fear. Our harmony is a complete contrast. This new perception brought a deep understanding of cosmic balance. They realized that many civilizations, though technologically advanced in a material sense, suffered from deep internal dissonance. They were not connected to the golden chain in the way the Sylvaeron were. Their progress was merely superficial, devoid of spiritual depth. The challenge of isolation became twofold. On one hand, the barrier protected them from external threats. On the other hand, the presence of so much chaos in the cosmos created a profound ethical dilemma. They could see, but they could not intervene directly. Their multidimensional suits allowed them to feel the pain of others, but their vessels could not transfer physical aid through the barrier. Reese's mental monologue. Our power grows, but so does our helplessness. To see suffering and not be able to alleviate it, that is a burden, but we must believe in the chain. Every spark of hope we send whispered, every vibration of harmony has its impact, even if we don't see it immediately. Taras was tasked with adjusting the scalar wave emitters on the vessels so they could collect data about the external universe without revealing their presence. His calculations were complex, requiring an understanding of subtle interactions between dimensions. Each window through the barrier was carefully calibrated to ensure invisibility. Taras's mental dialogue with Zil. This is like threading a needle through the eye of the cosmos. Zil, we must be absolutely precise. One wrong vibration and our presence could be detected by those civilizations we don't want to know about us. Although they could not physically pass through the barrier, their vessels and suits allowed them to meticulously analyze cosmic phenomena, new constellations, energy currents, and even the existence of new types of scalar waves they had not previously detected. Every observation brought new data into their growing database of universal knowledge. Despite the challenges of isolation, the Sylvaerons' lives were filled with purpose. Days were dedicated to deep meditation, consciousness development, and, most importantly, the refinement of biomental technology. Their vessels, now named Star Dancers, were the culmination of their innovations. They were not merely means of transport, they were instruments for exploration, extensions of their consciousness into the cosmos. Aurelia and her team particularly worked on integrating the individual consciousness of each Sylvaeron with the collective matrix of the vessel. The result was a feeling of complete oneness with the vessel, as if it were an extension of their nervous system, capable of reacting to the most subtle mental commands. Aurelia's mental monologue. The vessel is not just for travel. It is a space for consciousness. Every vibration, every thought becomes its driving impulse. I feel the crystal threads weaving with my thoughts, shaping the trajectory. This is truly a star dance. The star dancers possessed an incredible ability for instantaneous changes in direction and speed of movement, regardless of the laws of inertia or gravity within the material world. This was possible due to their ability to manipulate scalar waves around them, creating localized zones of altered reality. A simple mental command would shift the vessel from a state of rest to the speed of light, or stop it in a fraction of an instant without any strain on the passengers. Furthermore, thanks to this manipulation of scalar waves, the vessels could pass through any material barrier, disintegrating or mimicking the vibrations of the obstacle. Lyrian's comment during a flight exercise: no more acceleration, no inertial resistance, just an instantaneous transformation of position. This is not just technology. This is an understanding of the universe's fabric. We have merged with space, time itself. Boundaries are now an illusion. Within the vessels, the multidimensional suits evolved. They now allowed them not only to perceive higher etheric energy, but also to project subtle energetic connections with other beings and the environment. They could not transfer matter or physical force, but they could emit vibrations of harmony, hope, or even a silent warning. Eliana's mental dialogue with Kaelin after observing a world in crisis. I saw them, Kaelin. I feel their fear, but through the suit, I could send a whisper, not words, but a feeling, as if I planted a tiny spark of hope in their collective consciousness. Whether it will blossom, I don't know, but I sent it. Battles, in the traditional sense, did not exist. The Sylvaeron had developed defensive capabilities that were entirely unconventional. If attacked by a civilization with less advanced material technology, their multidimensional vessels and suits could instantly disintegrate laser photons or any material projectile. It was not a barrier that would stop, but a field that would transform matter at a quantum level, returning it to a pure, energetic state. Nilos's mental monologue while testing defense in a simulation. This is not an attack. It is understanding. Matter returns to where it came from. We harbor no hatred, but only wish to exist in peace. Our defense is an extension of that desire. Other technology, tools, energetic artifacts, medical aids, all functioned on the same principle of mental manifestation and energy manipulation from higher dimensions. These objects were unique, energetic constructs, fluid, and adaptable to the user's will, without any harmful effect on nature or other beings. Their technology never polluted, never depleted resources, but operated in complete harmony with the universal laws of balance. Through the star dance, the Sylvaeron explored the limits of their own consciousness and the possibilities of technology inspired by the very fabric of the cosmos. Yet, One boundary remained impassable: direct travel into higher etheric energy. Vuldan remained mysterious in their advice. You are not yet ready for the leap. Another element must awaken. Another understanding must deepen. This was a constant reminder that, despite all their progress, the path to full spiritual evolution was not yet complete. Isolation within the barrier was an incubator for their transformation, but also a test of their patience and faith in the golden chain. Cycles turned into eons within the peaceful sanctuary of the Great Barrier. The Sylvaeron had reached a level of technological and spiritual advancement unimaginable to most other civilizations. Their lives were a continuous dance with energy, a symphony of consciousness and manifestation. Passing through matter became instinctive, an act of consciousness rather than a technological ability, which gave them a sense of fluidity and invulnerability in any environment. Kalen felt the pulsing of the golden chain through every cell of his being. The barrier was now an extension of his consciousness, and Sylvaeron, a living entity with which he breathed. His mental dialogues with Vuldan became almost imperceptible as their consciousnesses merged into a deeper understanding. Kalen's mental monologue: "We are not alone, even in isolation. We are part of the chain, and the chain is within us. Every new breath is a step towards truth. Every new insight is a melody in the cosmic symphony. The journey is not over, but only deepening. The boundaries of existence melt before the will of consciousness." The star dancers became more sophisticated, invisible spirits in the cosmos. Through them, the Sylvaeron observed the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of stars. Thanks to their ability to reshape and pass through matter, they could track energy flows, even within stellar cores or through black holes, without fear of destruction. They no longer just sent a whisper, but through their multidimensional suits also sent an echo, complex, vibrational signatures of harmony that would resonate with the deepest aspirations of beings, encouraging their independent spiritual evolution. Lyrians report on a new kind of contact. I feel them reacting, Kalen. It's not just hope, it's awakening. As if we've activated a dormant gene in them, they're starting to ask questions, to seek more than the material. I see them turning to the chain themselves, without our direct involvement. Our invisibility and ability to pass through their structures has given us a level of access never before possible. Nayana had a vision that lasted cycles, weaving together fragments of the fabric of destined silk. She saw a future where the universe would divide into two currents: those who would return to the chain and those who would completely alienate themselves. Their role, the Sylvaeron, was to be a beacon for the former and an invisible barrier for the latter. Nayana's mental dialogue with Ileana: "The path is long, friend. Many will be lost, but our light, however invisible, will guide those who are ready to see it. We are the silent guardians of balance. Our existence is proof that force does not have to be obvious to be powerful." Reese perfected the path of the warrior of harmony to such an extent that the Sylvaeron could maintain absolute inner peace even in the presence of the most intense cosmic dissonances. Their mental shields were not merely for repulsion, but for transforming negative energy into pure, higher etheric energy, returning it to the chain. Physical threats were now irrelevant, as their ability to pass through matter meant that no attack could directly harm them, making them true masters of passive defense. Rhys's mental advice to Kalo: confront the darkness within yourselves and in the universe, but do not let it consume you. It is merely the absence of light. Your consciousness is the filter. Your will is the transformation. When you realize you can pass through anything, you will realize nothing can stop you but your own fear. Zil and Volos, with the help of water as a multidimensional information collector, discovered cosmic rivers, invisible currents of scalar waves that connected the most distant parts of the universe. They realized they could use these rivers for faster and more efficient propagation of whispers and echoes, transforming themselves into distributors of harmony on galactic scales. Their understanding of the planetary crystalline network and its connection to the source had a profound impact on their ability to direct these cosmic currents. They knew that every planetary water in every corner of the multiverse was a potential emitter and receiver of information to the source, allowing them to feel connected to every living being. Zil's mental monologue: water is a portal, Volos. Through it, we can not only read, but also write. We can inscribe harmony into the very memory of the universe. This is our silent revolution, and now we know that through it the source oversees everything, receiving information that has traveled through planets and stars. We are just tiny parts of this grand network, learning to use its channels. One cycle, while Lyrian and his team were conducting routine observations, they discovered a fleet of Kael'nar ships. They were moving towards a sector containing a weak but promising civilization, one the Sylvaeron had recently touched with a whisper. The Kael'nar were fast, silent, and moved with an intent to destroy, as always. Lyrian's urgent mental transmission to Kaelin: Kael'nar, full speed ahead, targeting sector X7. The barrier keeps us safe, but this civilization is fragile. They are not yet ready to oppose such a force. The dilemma returned with new strength. A world they had just begun to nurture might be destroyed. A world they had hoped would find its way back into the chain. The Sylvaeron were safe, their technology superior, but direct intervention would reveal the barrier and expose them to risk. Kaelin summoned all leaders: Nyana, Lyrian, Rhys, Aliana, Zil, Terrace, Arion, and Nylos to an urgent council in the Nexus of Harmony. The atmosphere was heavy, permeated by the realization that they were being offered a test of their moral strength and wisdom. Kaelin's mental voice, calm but resolute: we know what the Kael'nar do. We know the outcome for those worlds. We cannot allow them to extinguish every spark of hope. But nor can we jeopardize the barrier. Is there a third way? Does our new technology offer a solution that does not violate our principles? Nyana closed her eyes, her prophetic insights intertwined. I see a possibility, Kaelin. Not direct combat, not an open presence, something more subtle. Help that is not recognized as help, like a river that quietly changes its course without anyone knowing why. Lyrian understood what she was thinking. We can maneuver. Our star dancers are invisible to their sensors, and our suits make us untouchable to their weapons. We can approach. We can influence their path, their perception, without ever being detected. We can even pass through their ships, if necessary. The plan was bold. A team of star dancers, led by Lyrian, Arian, and Nylos, would head towards Sector X7. Their task was not to fight the Kaelnar fleet, but to subtly disrupt it, to create chaos in their ranks, using the latest discoveries in biomental technology. Arian's mental monologue while preparing for the mission. This is a new kind of war, a war of consciousness against inertia. The dragon's breath is now invisible, woven into the very scalar waves. When Lyrian's star dancers approached the Kaelnar fleet, they felt its dissonant energy. Cold, calculated, hungry, the Kaelnar ships moved in perfect formation, machines of destruction. The first step was imperceptible. Using the advanced capabilities of their multidimensional suits and vessels, Nylos began to disrupt their navigation systems. This was not a hacking attack in the material sense, but a subtle manipulation of the scalar waves that Kaelnar ships used for orientation. The ships began to sway slightly, to lose formation, to collide with phantom obstacles that the Sylvaeron mentally projected. Some Sylvaeron in their suits, even using the ability to pass through matter, passed directly through the interior of the Kaelnar ships, creating brief, vibrational anomalies that further confused their sensors. Nylos's internal dialogue during the operation. Their minds are mechanical, their vibrations monotonous. It is easy to introduce dissonance where there is no harmony. This is not destruction, just a change of direction, rerouting their evil intent. Let them feel an invisible touch, something their logic cannot comprehend. Lyrian used his ability to manipulate perception, creating illusions within the Kaelnar ships. Their sensors would register non-existent anomalies. Their captains would receive contradictory commands. Soon, the Kaelnar fleet's perfect formation turned into a confused group of ships. Disoriented and bewildered, they began firing randomly, destroying their own vessels in panic, while the Sylvaeron invisibly hovered around them, sometimes even passing through their energy shields. Lyrian's mental report to Kaelin: chaos. I see chaos in their minds. They don't understand what's happening. Their logic is crumbling. It seems they cannot process the non-existence of a material cause. I see them firing at phantoms. Meanwhile, Eliana, using her empathy, sent a whisper of hope and resistance to the civilization in Sector X7, amplifying their inner strength. She felt small sparks of resistance turn into flame as the collective consciousness awakened. Eliana's mental monologue: they must fight for themselves, but I can give them a guide, a memory, a spark that was forgotten. Perhaps this awakening will be enough to defend them from the chaos that surrounds them. We are merely the conductor for their inner symphony. The Kal-Nar fleet, disoriented and having sustained significant losses from their own fire, realized that something unexplainable was happening. Their calculations could not explain the phenomenon. With no enemy to fight, no clear target, their mechanical minds ordered a retreat. The ships turned and vanished into the cosmic void, leaving behind a trail of confusion and destruction. The Sylvaeron were successful. They fired no shots, engaged in no physical combat. They used their new technology to redirect the threat, to introduce dissonance into the dissonant, to harness the power of scalar waves in a way no other civilization could understand. Their ability to be invisible and to pass through matter added an unprecedented level of invulnerability and tactical advantage. They returned to the safety of the barrier, filled with a sense of pride, but also the recognition of deep responsibility. They had learned that their power was not in conflict, but in a subtle dance with reality, in an invisible influence on the course of events. Stardance was not just the name of the vessels, it was the name for their new way of existing in the cosmos, graceful, powerful, and unseen. While the victory over the Kal-Nar fleet was a triumph, and the new biomental technology demonstrated its incredible potential, life within the Great Barrier also brought subtle challenges. Isolation, though necessary for their security and development, began to take its toll. It was not melancholy, but a subtle, collective sense of detachment from the broader fabric of the universe. Kalen was aware of this feeling. In his meditations, he would often feel the echo of doubts spreading through the collective consciousness, like the gentle ripple of scalar waves. These were not doubts about purpose, but about the meaning of long-term isolation. Kalen's mental monologue: our power grows, our perception expands, but is our understanding of reality deepening or merely narrowing to our perspective within the barrier? How long can we be observers without becoming alienated? Does our power to pass through matter actually create a new kind of barrier, one within ourselves? Some younger Sylvaeron, those who had not experienced the brutality of the outside world before the barrier, began to question the purpose of their existence. Was their advanced technology solely for protection, or did they have a greater role in the golden chain? They yearned for direct interaction, for physical contact with other worlds. Internal dialogue of a Sylvaeron named Lyra, as she observes distant galaxies through the transparent interior of a star dancer. I feel their vibrations. I see their struggles. I can whisper hope to them. But is that enough? Are we merely a voice in the wilderness, or are we destined to be more? We can pass through walls, but does that mean we've also passed through the feeling of connection? Reese noticed these vibrations and began to introduce new exercises that dealt with confronting limitations. He taught them that accepting limitations could be a path to liberation, that true power lay in inner peace, not in external control. He focused on developing spiritual resilience against the feeling of helplessness. Rhys's mental advice to Kylo, the young Sylvaeron: "We are not limited by body or barrier, Kylo. We are limited by our perception. Learn to see beyond what is obvious. Your thought is your most powerful tool, capable of bridging any distance, any obstacle, even by passing through matter. Our consciousness remains untouched. That is true freedom." Lyrian continued his astral travels, consciously exploring the areas of lower scalar waves that were closer to the barrier, gathering information about energetic anomalies occurring there. He noticed subtle changes in the cosmic currents, hints that something grand was brewing in the universe, something that could test not only the barrier, but also their subtle defenses. Lyrian's mental monologue: "The universe is changing. I feel it in every thread of scalar waves. Something is shifting, something that is not the Kael'nar, something ancient, something deeply slumbering. We must be ready for the unknown. Will it be an entity that can also move through matter, or something that transcends even those boundaries?" Nyana's visions became increasingly fragmented when she tried to see too far, beyond the influence of the golden chain. This was a reminder that, despite all their progress, they still did not have complete control over all aspects of the universe. Her power was directed towards understanding the present and the near future, while the distant perspective remained blurred. Nyana's mental dialogue with Kaelin: "I see clouds, thick, impenetrable, not evil, not good, just change. The chain is intertwining in new ways, Kylan. We must be ready for what we haven't seen, for what we cannot even imagine. Perhaps the source will also send new messages through the crystals, new signposts." Meanwhile, Zil and Volos continued to explore the secrets of water as a multidimensional information collector. They realized that water, in addition to storing information, could also act as a resonator for certain vibrations. They began experimenting with new water songs, complex vibrational patterns that could amplify their whisper or create small, localized zones of harmony in distant worlds. They understood that, while water travels through every corner of the material universe, collecting energetic resonances from everything it touches, it does not carry this information forever. By passing through crystalline formations deep within each planet, the water discharges the collected data. This information, transformed through the crystals, is instantaneously transmitted directly to the source, the primary omniscient entity that devised this ingenious system. In this way, water became not only the elixir of life, but also a continuous, universal system of oversight and information for the source about the state of the multiverse, thus animating a cosmic symphony of knowledge. Zil's mental monologue: "Water is a portal, Volos. Through it, we can not only read, but also write. We can inscribe harmony into the very memory of the universe. This is our silent revolution, and now we know that through it the source oversees everything, receiving information that has traveled through planets and stars. We are just tiny parts of this grand network, learning to use its channels and send our messages back." Their isolation forced them to focus on inner development, on a deeper understanding of themselves and their connection to the golden chain. The technology they developed was an extension of that inner strength, not a replacement for it. They realized that true power lay in consciousness, not in mere material domination. Passing through material obstacles only emphasized that matter itself was not a limit, but merely one of the manifestations of consciousness. Still, questions remained. Would they ever be able to leave the barrier? Was their leap into higher etheric energy truly possible? Or was it just a distant ideal? And what unknown change awaited them in the wider cosmos, beyond the invisible veil of the barrier? The Sylvaeron understood that isolation had been a necessary phase of their development. It had enabled them to turn inward, to refine their consciousness and technology to a level that made them invincible in terms of defense and subtle influence. They were not passive observers, but invisible guardians, star dancers in the silence of the cosmic night. Their ability to pass through matter became a symbol of their spiritual freedom, that the material world could no longer constrain them. The path to true spiritual evolution was long, and the leap into higher etheric energy remained the ultimate goal, a promise and an enigma simultaneously. But the Sylvaeron were ready. Every new cycle brought new discoveries. Every new lesson brought them closer to a final understanding of their role in the golden chain and their purpose in the universe. Spread the word about our civilization as far as possible to everyone you know, so that all may hear and discover the wonders of the Sylvaerons. For the more you know about us, the closer will be the moment of our arrival.